So the next one is basically, do you think it would be easier to find your next job than it was your first one? How big of a difference does a small bit of work experience give you? So just kind of talking about sort of the difference of sort of getting the first gig versus the second one.
I think it'll be easier to find the second job too, because it's a huge foot up to have a foot in the door, kind of. Like it's a big advantage to say I've worked professionally in Ruby when you want to work in Ruby. It's one thing to even just say I have HTML and CSS experience trying to go into a Ruby job. It's totally different. The other thing that you have to take into account too is that you're not going to be stepping into another junior level position. So it kind of mitigates some of the advantage of that. You're not going to want to go from junior to junior for your whole career. You're going to want to take steps up in responsibility and position. So interviewing for a mid-level position would be very different from saying, oh, I just came out of a boot camp and I'm ready to roll. You definitely want to get more experience and be comfortable with where you're at rather than just say, I'd like a new job and I'm ready for mid-level right now. Working with developers with 5+ years experience is super beneficial. So you'll get a lot more out of that than you will with, working on the chess app. It's a big benefit to be working with other people. And so you're going to learn from people every single day on the job. And it really is a huge leg up. So it will help you with your second job, but it is very different from your first Ruby job, I would say.
Yeah, I found there was a world of difference. Again, I was at my first job for just 12 weeks before they let everybody go. And it was a world of difference. I kept telling myself, okay, in June, I had 3 months of experience at a coding boot camp, which is great, but it's at a coding boot camp. I had no professional experience, didn't have very many contacts. My references were people that, were other students that I coded with in my chess app. 3 months later, I had a lot more confidence. I knew a lot more about the dev world. I had proven experience at a company. I had great references, lots of connections through those references. And, I successfully was working in a dev environment. That's what people are scared of when you've never worked in a field is, can this person just completely not handle it? Once you can say matter-of-factly, yes, I can handle it, and I've got my VP of engineering and the VP of UX and 2 other developers, and they'll all vouch for me, it's a world of difference. People saw that I had been successfully employed. Things just moved much faster. It was much easier for people to believe that, okay, this guy can take on a job that says it needs 2 years of Ruby experience, whereas when you had never worked, it felt like more of a long shot. So second job is much easier.
I haven't been actively looking for anything else. I'm still pretty much busy with Sensei. But I do know that it's a lot easier this time around. Just getting to know people in the community, it's just no longer the same thing. Now, all of a sudden, people are offering you interviews versus you trying to, figure out who you can talk to at least get a crack in the door. And I've already had that experience where I go to a different meetup or something. And the people that I meet there are following up with me, seeing if I'd be interested in interviewing with them. And just kind of saying, hey, you know what, we have a great team here, at least come and have a chat with us. Now they're the ones asking you for at least a little bit of time to go in there and talk with them. Aside from that, there's people now that I've met through different activities that I know if I was all of a sudden in the need to kind of move out, I could just email them and say, hey, you know what, I'm looking to move on to something else. Where do you think? And it really changes just the fact that you've had a little bit of experience now. It vouches the fact that you can handle working on a team, working with others, and can get some code out to production. It'll come across in the conversations as well. It's different saying, hey, you know what, all my apps are on Heroku, than saying, hey, you know what, we deploy to AWS, we use whatever we use, Capistrano. Hey, how do you deploy? Oh, are you using Docker yet? Yes, we're using Docker. It's just the conversations. You no longer look lost when these names are thrown at. It is not because you're smarter now or anything. It's just you've been exposed to it now. So when you're working on a team, you get exposed to different things that you don't when you're going through a course. And that comes across, and it's nothing that makes it's impossible for anyone to grasp. It's just going through the process like anything else.
Try to take notes and keep track of what you've worked on. Really keep track of what you did work on and be able to quantify it. So I had taken on 2 projects. One I was just in the middle of when I got let go. A few weeks into being there, I offered to lead all of our Scrum meetings. So I did that for like 4 weeks. So, I said, took leadership role, So it can be a little tough if you haven't been there long to just sort of fill in your resume a little bit. So keep track of what you did do so you can put it down, so you can talk about it.
I think one of the most important things, though, is focus on the team that you're going to. If you can get that depth of sort of like interaction with like the team and stuff like that, there's no reason to sort of like just jump off to the next one. The key takeaway is if you have a job, you have a little bit of experience, the next hunt is probably, if you're in a bind and you need to go to another junior developer position, you're probably going to have a much easier time finding that one, even though it might not be the best move if you found the best place for you. So if it's super hard the first time, know that this is like a one-time hurdle that you need to, it's like a rite of passage, and it's no different from somebody who has a CS degree. Well, and maybe it is a little different, but it basically, those people face it too, because nobody wants somebody that has a CS degree but has no industry experience either, because it's just like, there's a huge amount of risk that they're taking on, and whether they're a boot camp grad, CS degree, like that, it's hard. So it's hard for the first one, but then you get your foot in the door and you're in good shape.